Hey, what's up, TikTok? I actually was sleeping and just woke up, utilized the facilities, the restroom, bathroom, and here I am. The reason is because um, I wanted to share the importance of accountability in relationships, even with consideration of our wellness. For the sake of health, and again, I always say this from this perspective because of my experience of curviness for the majority of my life. I do not body shame, meaning look at someone's physique, their body, their curves, and say anything from the perspective of like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Like, why are you not smaller? Like, because I've always been curvy. But what I can say is that know the difference of how I feel when I am making healthy food choices and exercising while curvy versus when not making healthy food choices and not exercising. And so my hope is that when we are connecting with our family or friends, that we are able to be in such a safe space that we can be honest about where we are with consideration of our health, especially if someone does have a medical concern. What I can't say is that ever since I was young, one of the aesthetics, I will say, is that it's important to have a flat belly. At the same time, as I've gotten older and just done research, the reality of the situation is that when we have a lot of fat around our midsection, that does affect or potentially can affect our heart. But if we are constantly working on ourselves and making sure that we're making selective food choices as well as exercising, then reducing the fat around the visceral fat area, which is literally fat that surrounds the organs, has the effect on our health. Now, what I can say is that over a year's time, I dropped about 50 pounds. So that was actually a healthy, steady weight loss. Now, I am still on my journey because I could still drop another 50 to 60 pounds. So that's the next 50 to 60 pounds that I'm working on currently. And I got to tell you that, I know how my body works because when I get to a certain point, then I reach a plateau, which means that I'm required to do something different to really shock my body to start dropping weight again. And so I'm consulting, meeting with the doctors, making sure I remain accountable, but then also checking on my levels to make sure that my heart is well, that my organs are well, that there are no concerns regarding my blood, like so no A1C issues, no cholesterol issues, stuff like that. I get my blood work done. But ultimately, the reason why I'm saying this is because sometimes when people hear what they don't want to hear, which is like, honey, I'm just noticing, what's going on, like, and that can lead to people expressing upsetness, anger. But I'd rather someone get mad at me and me tell them the truth. And even if someone has to tell me the truth, like, no, I'm noticing your weight, honey. You fluctuated a few. What's up? What? Because the reality is that accountability through connection and relationship assists with people's level of health. Just by virtue of a person seeing you, looking you in your face, and telling you, no, honey, no, you really shouldn't eat that much. Or can you make a different food choice? Because I care. Now, there's also image. So if someone has already worked on something regarding their health and they're in a good, healthy place, but depending upon what your profession is, there's certain aesthetics. Then, to have that honest conversation. So I'm not telling people not to have honest conversations. I also care about balance. But then I also recognize that every place and space has its culture. So it's all of those factors, but I'm not going to go into detail. You know why? Because y'all are going to have to sign up for a wellness seminar with me. Yes, I'm curvy, but I also am making sure that I follow through with a decent diet. Now, I'm not saying I'm perfect. I have my days where I'm going to have sweets, huh? But am I eating sweets every day? No. I drink a lot of water. I eat a lot of vegetables. Vegetables and fruit. And I make sure I have my protein. And then I make sure I exercise about 5 days a week. But, ultimately, it's for the sake of health and wellness and for longevity. Like, who wants to, live a long life? Hmm? And then who wants to enjoy their life while living? Hmm? While we have breath, let's make sure we can enjoy the life that we are given, huh? Now, I've already done lipo around my belly. I'm just releasing all of this. Do you understand? But I'm going to make sure that I continue on in a natural way. Now, I get a little additional supports through medicine. Yeah, because my metabolism, y'all already know. I've already explained myself. I do not need to explain myself. But what I am saying, though, for the sake of longevity, it's important that we consider our health on a daily basis. There's so many people I've met that are brilliant, but unfortunately, because of our own choices, and the reason why I'm saying our own choices because I've been there, like where I was making choices that actually weren't benefiting me and the trajectory of the life that I want. But because I'm in a space where I am making choices that are assisting me with consideration of longevity, then when I implement my God-given purpose, I can show up fully. Now, again, there's still certain aesthetics about me that I'm still working on, but I am making sure that I give myself certain caps. You understand? Because the human weight, the body literally could fluctuate in weight about 5 to 10 pounds, and that just based on, on what's in your belly, whether it's water or food. And so after you urinate or boo-boo, you could drop literally between 5 and 10 pounds. The intestines can usually hold about 10 pounds. I'm not trying to fill up my intestines that much. However, I'm just saying if people have a day where they go to a cookout, a festival, check your weight before you go ahead. After you return, you'll see. Body fluctuates 5 to 10 pounds. So we're not talking about, we got to be mindful of how many days, can't eat festival food and cookout food every day either, you understand? But I'm just saying this because I recognize we are in the season of festivals and stuff, at least on the Northeast. During the fall season, there's always a lot of festivals, but then, balancing a lot of walking around while also determining what foods you're going to consume. Like I literally plan before I go now to places to eat before I leave. So then when I go to where I'm going, I'm not getting any food. Or if I do, I'm choosing one item I'm going to make sure that I enjoy. No more than 2. And then I'm checking on the calories. See, this is what I mean. Well, for the sake of our health, for the sake of longevity, because there's so many choices that are intergenerationally passed on that, we have to be mindful of what really is going to benefit our life source, our breath, the functioning of our mind, of our bodies, of our systems within our bodies. So, even as a curvy, I'm just saying that I want to continue my life with no A1C issue, no cholesterol, no high blood pressure, stuff like that. Because all that stuff runs in my family, but it didn't run through here. Why? Because I keep it moving. And I make decent food choices, for real. Just like I said, every so often, a little snacky snack. Something with a little sugar in it, but not every day. Does somebody say longevity? Say longevity. Say it and mean it. Longevity. Okay, in Jesus' name. Have a great day.